Hey, what's up, everyone? Welcome back to another episode of Let's Talk Marketing with In-Depth Podcast, where I'm your host, Nathan Webster, and I'm here with Crystal, the fractional CFO expert that I get to do.
AKA finance coach.
Ooh, okay, I like that.
It's less intimidating.
That is. When you're talking about money, that's true. Yeah. So we got a special podcast for you because we, in the meeting, we were like, well, you actually said, we should record this.
Yeah, I think we should start documenting our meetings because our meetings, we dive into business, personal, the things that we're struggling with, the things that we're working through, making the connections of personal to business. It's crazy. And we have some really good, deep discussions.
Like, I remember, like, we'd be saying, like, why don't we record this? Because I'm sure if I'm having this problem, if you're having this problem, I'm sure other people are having the same problem.
It's also an opportunity for us to go back and see where we're at today. And like
Absolutely.
A year from now, we're going to go back and like, oh my God, we were struggling with that. Or, yeah, I remember that feeling. And I think that's why I said, let's document these, because it is what goes on behind the scenes and what you have to work on as a business owner. Man, talk about, you want to learn to grow as a person, own a business. It's a lot of work.
Yeah, I remember Damon John said on Shark Tank, he's like, the best self-development, self-help tool you could ever use is start a business. And so
or buy a business. You don't have to start one, you can buy one too.
That too. That too. See all these gems that we're gonna drop here. So I hope you enjoy this, having a very candid conversation about how to ask for help, how to be vulnerable, how our personal demons become our business challenges, our obstacles, and then we talk about how, from someone's talking to a seagull to I have a comb over, try to get a girl.
Oh
yeah.
Talk about being vulnerable. Yeah.
Hey, so enjoy. And it's like,
there's going to be we're going to have clients that we run into that are going to go through these same struggles,
same stuff,
the level of where we're at. This idea of having to also try to figure it all out on our own.
Mm-hmm.
I think about,
or as my sister was saying, not even just trying to figure it out. Sure, you can figure it out, but then to say, I'm going to try to do it all on my own. Wait.
We haven't been doing it now to this point. Why do we think we're going to be able to figure it out next without getting some help? I think about right now what I'm going through, right? I don't want to do the accounting work anymore. Why have I been stuck in still doing the accounting work and not really letting it go and doing the work to get out of it, to shift into doing what I really want to do, which is the finance coaching?
Well, that's what I was looking for when I was going through my phone. Was I took a picture of you when you were at Owami, when my desk was against the wall and you was at the round table, and you were and I was like, oh, I need to send this to Chris, and I didn't. But then what I wish I would have taken a picture of, or even a video, but I wasn't in that mindset. It was when you would, and this comes back to when you said that you want to be a coach.
Did I say it then?
You remember all the talks that you would have with my girls?
Oh, yeah.
And I never got that. And I wish I would have gotten that, because you were like so close and you were talking to them, but they were also listening. So when you said you wanted to coach, I was like, that's a no-brainer. Like, I've seen you're good at it. And I'm like, why not?
Ooh.
That's why I was trying to find that picture, because it's like, and then of course I didn't have that you coach of you doing the girls, but then I'm like, so we were in a place where we were supposed to sharpen each other, like for everybody, right? But I think that's also too, like right now we're doing a video, right? But it's like, when do you go and you go to these spaces to get dance,
Mm-hmm.
right? You say you're going to the conference to learn, but when do we go to places like, well, that one place that we were at was for you to network with people and sharpen each other. Where did we go for those places?
Well, I think that you create that everywhere you go. For me, that's what I want to be in those spaces where that's what you're doing is this is where you take yourself out of the equation and just think in any situation that I'm in, my goal is to make that person leave feeling better than when they showed up or still feeling good when they leave, right? Or it's I don't want anybody to be in my presence and be like, I don't want to be around that person. Like, oh my God, they've got drama. Or not to say that we don't have drama.
Right.
It happens. We've talked about a lot of drama in business and personal, but the intention though behind it is to say, not get stuck in it and live in that. Sometimes we need to just get it out and vent it and get it all out so that, but with the intention of saying, I want to work through this. I don't want to be stuck in this. For me, I've been feeling so stuck where I'm at in my business and my personal life. And part of it is because I haven't been willing to step into this next phase of my life of what I want to do because I've done a lot of work the last 20 plus years on myself in so many different aspects that I want to be able to help other people through some of those struggles. Like, hey, I understand you're struggling with that. I've been there too, or I know somebody who has been through that. What are you doing for yourself to get through that? Obviously, mine's around finance, around managing money, around your money mindset, because that impacts everything in your life. For the good, for the bad, for the better, for the worse.
Yeah.
So what before you started this video, it's like I recognize I somehow in this where I'm at with my business, I have said from day one when I started my company, I want to be a business owner, not a self-employed person. What is the difference between those two things? A self-employed person, you're still doing the work. The business can't run without you. Why am I fighting moving and shifting into that business ownership role when I have a strong team? Why am I struggling with that strong team? Because I'm not being true to myself. Why am I not being true to myself? What's causing it? Me recognizing recently my value is tied into doing the work. From conversations I've had over the years, subconsciously, somehow I feel like my worth is tied into the work. And it's not. Maybe in the beginning, but it's not. Now I'm shifting and been doing so much work around becoming a better leader and leadership. It doesn't end. It's always a work, which I love that. Why am I not letting go of this? And I'm doing the necessary things to do it. And part of that is holding up the mirror and saying, this isn't working. And being true to like actually talking to yourself. I sharing that story, what happened to me on Sunday, and just saying, you know what? I sat in my car and I bawled like a baby for an hour. And it was one of the best things I could have done for myself. And it was, I pulled up my notes and I just did voice to text and just let it all out. And I shared with you, there's a seagull. There's like some birds in front of the car. I'm sitting in this parking lot by myself, watching Metro security go by, thinking, please don't come over here and ask me if I'm okay, because I'm not okay. But
what type of parking lot were you in?
I was getting my nails done. It's one of the things that Lori helps me. She's like, you got to do something for yourself. And
right.
So I started just doing that, right? Because I'm not in front of a computer. I'm just there doing something for me.
Self-care Sunday.
Self-care Sunday. Yeah, it's usually on a Sunday, right? Yeah. And so I left home an hour early and I drove over there and I just felt lost. And said, you know what? You need a moment to yourself to just sit here and reflect and just be, just let it out. Just don't, who cares, right? So I went, I sat in that parking lot and I just let it out to myself, right? In a coaching position, like wanting to help people work and navigate through these things that they're struggling with on the finance side. A lot of that is tied to how we've been conditioned to think about things, or how we were conditioned, like subconsciously, we don't even know that we're sabotaging ourselves.
Oh my gosh, absolutely.
Because we're not even talking to ourselves.
Well, because we're scared to. Yeah. We're scared to confront that situation or conflict because as people pleasers, we don't want to be rejected. We don't want to be told we're not good enough. I speak for myself that I'm not good enough, or and I think I was saying earlier before we turn on the cameras about like I had to learn my biggest problem was when my mom died. And when they say like when someone dies, you either transcend to the next level or you go backwards. And I do kind of see how I am transcending upwards, but oh my gosh, I have to let go of a lot of baggage that I'm happy to hold on to.
And the question is, why are you happy to hold on to it?
It don't make no sense. It's comfortable. It's making me uncomfortable.
Right? And it's somehow our identity is tied into that.
Yes.
Because we've created these narratives, or people in our life have created these narratives for us, or we have assumed, or we're putting that onus that on somebody else, like they're saying this is what I should be and this is who I should be. And maybe they're right, because we haven't stopped to ask ourselves, is this really what I want? Is this who I really want to be? Why are we afraid to show up for who we are? What caused us at some point somewhere in our past has caused us to be afraid to be who we are? Why is that? For me, I just like, there's so many things as you kind of peel the layer, the onion off, right? Peel that top layer of the onion, and it's tough to just even talk to yourself. And that's what I did that morning, is I just let it out. And I was like, I don't care what these people who are driving by, if they're driving by, I need to do this for me. And there are things that you hold in that, as I sat there and I said, Crystal, you work so hard to help people navigate through their struggles and their challenges and help them get through them. Why aren't you doing that for yourself? Why aren't you doing that for yourself? And so I looked at that bird. Because he was sitting there and he laid down with his body scrunched up, and he was just looking at me. And I thought,
were you outside your car? Or
no, I was in my car, okay, in the driver's seat. It's off 192nd and Mill Plain. There's like a key bank, Five Guys. It used to be where the J.C. Penney's was, but it's empty building now.
Over there, yeah, I knew that. Okay.
I'm sitting in the car.
Okay.
The old J.C. Penney building's over here. The nail salon is over here. I see the Lowe's.
Okay.
Home improvement store.
Yeah, you're facing west. No,
yes, east. I was facing west.
Yeah.
And I'm sitting there, and I just said, why won't you just look at yourself and be true to yourself? But also, you don't have to do this alone, right? That bird is there for me right now.
Right.
I'm practicing it, and in my notes, I even remember saying, I have to put this in here. I'm laughing at myself as I'm bawling and snot is coming down and tears are coming down. I'm laughing at myself thinking, I have to learn to be vulnerable with other people. This is the first step, is doing it with myself. And with this bird right now.
There's I can't remember his name, but I remember the interviewer. Her name's Nia Long, because I always had a crush on her since Friday.
Since Friday.
Since for the movie Friday.
Got it.
The movie
Okay,
Friday, yeah, Nia Long. And then she was on Soul Food. But I remember she was talking to the guy, and then he was saying, like, the kid, my 8-year-old self, was in this basement. Something to the effect like he was scared to come out of the basement and go outside and play. He didn't feel safe. He didn't. So I was like, bruh, it's talking about, shoot, I could identify with that, because ever since I was a kid, I didn't feel that I fit in. So you said talking to the bird, scared to talk to yourself. I was scared. Like, I have a picture of me that I'm gonna post, and it's me. I think I was in 4th grade, and I told you I permed my hair and I did a comb over so I could be white, so I could look white. Because I was like, at that time, there wasn't anything pro-black or anything that made me feel that I was proud to be black. I didn't know Black history. I didn't know anything that I should be proud of blackness, and everything that told me to be proud of was being white. So I was like, oh, and plus I didn't have no girlfriend, so I thought this was gonna help me get a girl. And I was like, and I'm gonna post this picture, but it was like I was just, and I, wrote in my book, Scared to Be Me, but it was like I wasn't even proud to be me. So when you talk about talking to this person in the mirror, I think it starts with our childhood. Who's that child? Who's that little Crystal who's 8, 7, 9 years old? And you talked about your childhood, how it was just checkered with problems.
Well, it's listening to this current podcast about emotional attachments. I might be getting this wrong, but there's 4 different archetypes to it. And her explaining, like, how do you show up in a relationship, any type of relationship, whether it's a romantic relationship, family, friend, any relationship. Mostly, I think she's referring to how you show up in romantic relationships, and thinking back, and I think it is more than the romantic side, because when she's describing these different archetypes, she says half 50 from their research, their pool of people that they've researched, 50% of people are, what was the word she used? Not solid, but do you remember what I said earlier? We were talking about it earlier. Stable.
Yeah.
And so for them, it's most of the time they end up with another stable person.
Mm-hmm.
They had that stability, right?
No, I've never been
as
stable.
a child. They had that stability.
Mm-hmm.
Now, over time, as you grow older and stuff, you can shift from these different models, right? But at some point, you can become stable, but it's very easy to identify with one of these archetypes. But she says, generally speaking, they end up with it, because then you have somebody who's in one of these other archetypes. I feel like I fall in between 2, but probably resonate more with the fearless avoidance.
You avoid? No.
What? No. But recognizing, like, where does that stem from? And it usually stems from some sort of event earlier in your life, a lot of times from childhood, but it doesn't always have to be childhood. It could be something that happened to you in adulthood as well. It's, you go into a forest. She shares a story. You go into the forest and you run into a bear and you run away, right? Next time you go into the forest, what are you going to be thinking about? Am I going to run into a bear again? Even though maybe there's no bears for miles and miles and miles. So it's like that PTSD, right? Mm-hmm. So how is that? And you might be conscious that, okay, there's no bears. I know there's no bears. But it doesn't mean that your subconscious isn't still thinking that. So things that happened to us in the past sometimes we don't realize how it's affecting us today. But when we take the moment to stop, reflect, and talk to ourselves and just think about it, you start making these connections and saying, if I'm struggling with this, I see I'm struggling with this, at what point in my life did this happen? We might not be able to figure that out on our own. That's why we look into having coaches or therapists or people that can help us maybe navigate through that. It might be something, but the first thing is really acknowledging, for me in that moment, is I need to be able to be real with myself and be able to talk to myself, encourage myself. Our brains are built on survival. We're built on avoiding discomfort, avoiding pain, doing what's easy, right? It doesn't mean that's what's right for us. But it's also reshaping your mindset of how you talk to yourself too. And it's saying it's okay to not be okay.
Yeah.
Well, for me, it's like, but you'll get through this. I don't have to do it alone. And even if I have to do it alone, that's okay too. Because at the end of the day, who do I spend most of the time with? Myself. I can't get away from me. I'm stuck with me. So why am I so worried about fixing others or helping others fix themselves when I need to hold up the mirror and say, what are you doing to fix yourself or work on yourself?
Well, and that's why I showed you when I was going through my phone, my voice notes. I'm like, oh, I'm here doing all this documentation for the situation that I'm in, and it didn't even matter. I mean, you could say maybe in the short term, but long term, short term, it made me feel good. I felt like I was checking boxes. I felt busy. But now when I look back on that, which was 2018, excuse me, that's 8 years ago. Now I'm like, that wasn't even productive. I just it was just a short term solution. Just like if I go get a donut, it's gonna make me feel good right now. But
until I'm done eating that donut, and now you're beating yourself up because you're like, I don't actually feel good anymore.
No. And then later on, now, and that's mentally, and then physically, I'm going to be lethargic. I'm not going to want to do what I need to do when I get home. And then it's like, why do I do that? And the long term consequences linger longer than the short term gains.
And I think also it's like we're now beating ourselves up for that. Whereas, what if we just changed the narrative and said, okay, I recognize I'm feeding my emotions right now, but right now, this is where I'm at. So I'm going to do it and I'm not going to beat myself up, or I'm going to say, I'm going to do it in this moment, but what do I need to do to change this so that I don't do it again? Because it's, I think, stepping stones too, right? I talked about this with you about what I'm recognizing as I start fixing one thing in my life. I see how, as I'm trying to implement a new habit that I know long term is going to help me with not just lifespan, but health span. I want to be healthy. I want to be healthy. I don't want to just live forever and be miserable, right?
No.
There's drugs. I don't want to be on drugs. So, being fat is hard. Not being fat is hard. Which hard am I going to choose? Well, let's do the one that, being fat, it sucks, and I might be on prescription drugs for the rest of my life. But again, it goes back to, okay, so what are the things that I need to change? Eating. That is a big thing that I recognize, that I feed my emotions, or I don't have good patterns or habits put in place. What happens when you're looking at eating better? You think, okay, I go and I find this plan and this is everything I need to do. No, it's a lifestyle change. But how do you change that lifestyle? It's one step at a time. Okay, now that I understand I need to have this X number of protein intake, here's the scientific reason behind it. I need to eat 3 meals a day, right? One of the things I struggle with is I don't eat consistently. I will binge eat, or I might eat twice a day. Well, now that I understand by like scientifically why it's important for me to start the day out with food, especially before I work out.
Breakfast. Break fast.
But as a woman, and over 35, I now understand biologically it is key for me to eat before I work out. I know for me, the best thing for me to do is work out in the morning.
Yeah, I love working out in the morning because especially once you get it done, it's like...
And it sets you up for the day. You have those endorphins you get from working out. You feel good. It might suck while you're going through it, but I feel way better afterwards. I feel like I accomplished anything. But for you as a man, biologically, you can go work out on an empty stomach. We could do the same plan. We do all the same workouts. We eat the same meal plan. But if I don't eat before I work out, biologically, because my hormones work differently as a woman, I'm not going to be able to, like, you're going to lose the weight, right? You're probably going to feel better, where I'm like, I'm still stuck where I'm at. Why is that, right? It's figuring out what works for one person might not necessarily work for the next person. But with that, it's like, okay, now I've made this shift. When I first started this, I'm like, I just need help. I know what I need to go do when I go to the gym. I know how to find the workouts that I need to do and all that, but I'm just not doing it on my own.
So how many trainers you got?
For this, I have a person that I work with for strength training 3 days a week, and I have somebody I'm working on for mobility training 2 days a week. And you know what? I had a moment where one of my strength trainer, he was unavailable because he was down for the count for health reasons. Did I go to the gym? No. Oh shit, Crystal. Okay, what's going to be your backup plan when this happens? Because at some point, yes, we want that person to be there to help us be accountable. But what I recognized is at that moment when I didn't go that day, I felt worse by not working out. Like I could feel a difference. And now I'm beating myself up because I didn't work out.
Like you could at least went on a walk.
Right. I did. I did walk. And that goes back to like, okay, wait a minute. I did do something that day.
Remember you said your ABC?
Oh, your ABC days? Yeah. It's how do you build a new habit? Is you have your A day, like this is a perfect day when it comes to building this habit. A B day is like I only, if I do half of what I want to do, or a C day is this is the bare minimum that I'll do. And I talked about when I first started walking was my C days minimum 15 minutes a day. And I did do that day. So you know what? Again, think of ants. Why did I beat myself up for not?
Because you didn't talk to somebody.
Yeah, it's like this morning I am driving to the office. I'm like, I am so hungry. And I know when I walk into that store, I'm going to revert to bad habits. And that is, I'm probably going to buy everything that looks good. And so I called my trainer.
I don't know, but hold on, just to change your language. I don't know if it's reverting back to old habits if you haven't established new habits yet. I think it's not, you're working on building new habits.
Yeah. Well, I think this goes back to...
Because you're beating yourself up.
You're right. Yes. I think about my strength training coach is good with...
You got to come over here so you make sure we get you in the camera.
My strength training coach is also helping me with the nutrition side. And one of the things I thought is, if I'm paying him for the service to be my coach, why am I not using his services? So I said, I'm hungry. I didn't sleep well last night. So I need help to somebody just tell me what to do, right? Sometimes we get to that point where, okay, yes, I know what to do, but I don't in this moment because I'm overwhelmed and I don't want to fall into bad habits. I want to create a healthy habit here. I picked up the phone. I called him. I said, hey, here's where I'm at. I'm starving. I'm headed to the office. I'm going to be passing new seasons. I'm going to stop and get something. That protein shake was not enough this morning. What do I do? What do I do? Right? And he goes, okay.
I need something to eat.
Yeah. I need something to eat. And he goes, okay. So we talked about, and he goes, here's what you could do. You could do this or you could do this. He said, you could do like a breakfast sandwich. I go, what if they don't have breakfast sandwiches? Because I don't know if they do or not.
Oh.
And they might be gone, right? And he goes, okay, if they don't, then you can do, yogurt with some like healthier granola or something like that. And I said, okay. So I walk into the store. Fortunately, they had it, but now I don't feel guilty about eating that breakfast sandwich, because that's one of the things I was running through my head. It's like, well, what about this? And he's like, well, if they don't have a breakfast sandwich, do it egg bites. But again, this goes back to like, what are my options? What should I stick to? Like, where do I go with this? And that's where it helps to have coaches in these different aspects of our life. For me, I'm really good at the finance stuff, and that's what I want to help people with on that side, because it's easy to say, well, I think I know what to do, but I just need to run this idea by somebody, right? And how many times do we just revert to bad habits or old habits because we're just not asking for the help when there are people there willing to help us?
Yeah, we just have to ask.
Why do you think it's hard to ask?
I know for me, I don't want to feel like I'm a burden. I don't want to feel, well, it's kind of one of the two. And it's funny, I've never been asked this before. So it's like, oh, at least I've been asked this, but not like in a vulnerable setting, even though we're recording.
Very vulnerable for some of us.
Right? For someone, funny, someone didn't like to be recorded, and then she says, let's put on the camera. So one is, I don't want to be vulnerable, as in ask for help. But the other part is I don't want to look stupid. I don't want to look like I don't have the answer. And this kind of just takes me back to like when I didn't read my first book until I got to college. So that means I didn't read anything when I was in the Marine Corps. I didn't read anything when I was in high school, junior high, middle, elementary. And what's funny is I failed my English class. This is funny. I can bring this full circle. I and this is a right class, and I thought it was like also racially motivated. I'm like, oh, but a lot of people didn't pass the class because the person, she failed a lot of people, and then I read, she had me read something, and then she was like, I got the results and was like, you should probably, if you didn't get anything out of it, you might want to look into something in special education. I'm like, Trick, I can read. I know what they. It's just boring.
Yeah.
But what's funny is my college professor, old crusty white guy, rest in love, Bob Hale. He was like this old sheriff from Texas. He was just like, I remember he came into my car. Like he died like maybe like 4 years later of bone cancer, um, or blood cancer, I think it was. But um, he was originally from Alaska, and he was like, I don't understand this whole racial division, but we talked about God in my car in the summertime class because I failed 098 English, so I had to take 099 so I could get to 101. And then he was my class for 101 too. But what's funny, he was like, oh, oh, he's like, this assignment? No, I want you to pick a book that's about your race. And I did it on Jack Johnson. And that was the first book to my collection. And then I started to love reading. But he was like, none of this stuff it never appealed to me. And so what's funny, as you know, I've upped my game on my videos and my outbound marketing, right? Well, what's funny is that English teacher just connected with me on Facebook, and it was because of that, because of the video. And she was like, "Oh, it was good to see you doing so well." But it was actually for me telling in a Facebook post. Sorry, it wasn't a video. It was a Facebook post about me being a college professor. And so I think it's funny is how, coming back to why don't we ask for help? I didn't want to look stupid in front of her, And I didn't know how to be vulnerable as a kid, because why would you be vulnerable?
Why do you think you were worried about being stupid, or that you would that? What do you think that stems from? That you cared about what this person thought.
I cared about what everybody thought.
Why?
I wanted to be, I wanted to be popular. I wanted to be cool. I want,
Why? What did that represent for you?
back in the day, shoot, that was like, street cred. uh, that was to help get the ladies, to get the girls to like flex on people, um, but it didn't do me any good. I mean, at the moment, but I didn't want to feel that I wasn't good when it didn't. Obviously, it doesn't matter what people think; it matters what you think.
What do you think it stems from? Why you care so much about what other people think?
That's a great question, and that's easy. I wasn't getting it from my parents in the way that I needed it. Like my dad was like, "I provide for you. That's good enough." My mom was like, "I'm here," but like I needed them to pour into me more, uh, in a way that they didn't know how, because my parents didn't get that, so they didn't know that
How do they do something like that they never learned themselves?
They didn't know,
and they didn't even understand that impact it had on them.
They were barely surviving. They didn't even stay together until when I even from my own childhood. So there was no way they could do that to me. So that's like a unrealistic expectation I had of them, but I didn't know it at the time. So I was just making up for them. And then, I carried that from impressing others to getting in bad relationships, marrying several times, thinking like I was going to find that love, because I was searching for a deeper meaning of purpose that I was trying to find that only I could give myself.
Do you remember a couple months ago now? I remember us sitting in here and you telling me, like, I just want to find somebody to love me. I just want somebody to find, I just need to find that person, my person who, like, I don't feel like I'm worth loving. And you, if I recall, you said you were always striving for feeling loved and you didn't feel it. And then I remember, fast forward, probably 3-4 weeks later, I saw you recognize, I don't need other people to love me. No. I need me to love me.
Yeah, I remember that. I didn't know at that moment in time. I think I was just finishing the conference, and then I had the other issues come up, and from my mom dying to that was like a year, and I didn't know that I needed to grieve. And grieve not just for my mom, but grieve for the very fact that I have to celebrate life. And I was just holding on to because I didn't grieve my mom, I was grieving the life that she wanted to have and she couldn't have it. At least my thoughts, because I saw the way she lived. And I'm like, Mom, your life could have been so much better, but that's my opinion. But I also needed to let that go. And I remember when just it was a horrible sight, and I wish I could have just embraced the sight to say, "Here's my mom getting carried out through the door into this van." I remember I had to grab my sister because she was just like going there as a zombie. I'm like, "No, come here, girl! Like, come here!" Like, and it was just like, instead of having it be, "Hey, our mom is off in a better place," we carried that pain, and so at that moment, I felt that I needed to be rescued, and by someone that could love me. But um, as we watch our YouTube videos,
those are a lot of fun. By the way, actually, it does get better over time. It does get better over time.
Watching those YouTube videos, someone said that you feel loved being rescued, not being safe in the arms of the person after you've been rescued.
Say that again. Say that again.
So the person said you feel safe by being the rescue, as in the act, as if you're drowning and someone's lifting you up and you're like, yes, I'm being rescued. But once you're safe in that person's arms, you don't feel loved. It was the fact that you were being rescued where you felt loved. And so I had to work on why I'm safe and happy. And someone told me in my last relationship, she said, you need to write a letter to your mom, and you just say whatever comes to your heart. And I initially did that, and I went back and touched it up this last time because I said we never did any major stuff or went on any trips. I'm like, Nathan, you a lie. We did this. And I'm like, we tried like all the times that we went on my soccer trips, and how many times we were on the road. Like she would come pick me up when I was stationed here. Like we spent a lot of time together, and in my pain, I didn't see that.
Why do you think we focus on the pain, the bad versus the good, and forget about focusing on the good?
Well, it's only because Grace told me to record, my last trip to Kenya, to Nairobi. That is the only time I could rebuttal. I had a great time. If I never recorded, I'll be like, no, life sucked. But it's because you're looking at it from like inside out, and you're like just seeing like and going through it rather than having like, which is why I record and why I take pictures and I try to document to say like, no, this is what you were going through, and you were smiling, you were laughing, you were to have a good time, you were doing new things, and there were you may have some problems, but you had good times too.
I think it's a muscle we have to build.
Oh, absolutely. But you have to. It was one. It's almost as if it's like grief. It's like you deny the fact that you are having a good time because all you can think of is the bad moment, not realizing it's a choice to either embrace the bad moment or the good time.
And that's why I say it's like a muscle. You have to remind yourself. You have the ants. What does ants stand for?
Uh, Automatic negative thoughts.
Mm-hmm. Since we know that's how the brain is operating, we have to retrain the brain or retrain ourselves and build that muscle to say, wait, yes. Again, the optimistic side of me of saying there's always good that comes out of bad. Think about if there's a forest fire. Everybody thinks about all the bad, right? You just killed this big section of the forest because there was a forest fire. Think of LA with all the homes built and everything like that. But if you look at it, forest fires are one of the best things that can happen to a forest in regards to new life growing and all of that. At least that's what I learned at some point in my life.
I never heard that, but
and
yeah, but I could see that.
I heard that as a kid, where it says that sometimes that's what you need in order for new life to grow.
Death, there is beauty in death, and there's seasons. Even in the Bible, in Ecclesiastes 3:3, it talks about there's a season for everything, for both life and death. A fire killing is not what we want to see.
Travesty, right? But there's good that comes out of it. So for my example, my own life, when I moved in with my dad at 18 to finish college, going to Clark College, a week before I started at Clark College, I went and I was playing roller hockey. It was my last night to play. I had just started a job at JCPenney.
I had
worked there for 4 days.
Parking lot at JCPenney.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah. And it was my 5th day, and they scheduled for me to work. And I remember telling them, no, I can't work. This is my I've already got plans. I'm going to be out of town this night because I was driving back up north, because it was my last time I'd be able to play roller hockey, and I didn't know when I'd be able to play again. And so I went and I played, and legit 10, 15 minutes before we ended, somebody got done making a shot. We were resetting. I'm skating backwards pretty fast. I go to turn, and I don't know which way I was turning. One of my teammates, who's always picking on me, he shoved me. And I lost my footing. I fell.
Bro, it's co-ed?
I was the only female on the team.
Oh.
And
why does that not surprise me?
He shoved me. I was the youngest and the only female on the team. All of them were like men in their 20s and 30s. I think our oldest guy, he was 40. And man, they would pick on me, but they would, anytime anybody from another team when we would play against, they wouldn't like that was a no. They could pick on me, but nobody else
Were
could,
you like
right?
the only female in the league too?
So we would go and play tournaments, and there's only one other gal who was in the league, and it was crazy. She was the nicest person off the floor, but you get on the floor, and the trash talk that came out of this woman's mouth was like, you're like somebody completely different than who I just met, right?
Those are like the best competitors right there,
yeah,
you know. Yeah.
And so he shoved me, I fell, and I broke both bones of my lower leg in the ankle region. So I got a bunch of metal and stuff in there. For most people, they would look at this, and it was terrible, right? It has had so much impact on my health and how my body moves and all of that, and me not just recently doing the mobility training and learning more about how your body is supposed to move and why it doesn't move and what's causing, right? So working through all that, at the time I was like, this is terrible. I can't skate anymore. I can't play volleyball anymore. Like there's all these things I couldn't do anymore. But you know what? I'm glad that I did, because it got me out of working retail. I was just like, I hated it. I was at JCPenney for 4 days, and me, usually being a people pleaser, was like, oh, I'm not going to get to play hockey anymore. I got to work. And that moment, I was like, no, I got to do this. I'm going to do this. And so I did. And then next thing I know, I break my leg and I have to quit my job. And thank God, I hated it. My second or third day, I had this gal. She was probably, to me, I thought she was probably at that time in her like late 40s. She was probably in her 30s. I'm sorry, whoever you were. But because, I was young. I didn't know. I was 18. We don't know how to tell age at that time. I still don't know how to tell age. Anyway, she came to me asking me for clothing advice. Anybody who knows me, I'm like,
black on black. Yeah, I don't know. That was
I've always been, yeah. I'm like, so, and I just thought in that moment, I'm like, this is not for me. This is not for me. The universe was listening, and I could have taken that as I just said, it has affected me negatively in a lot of ways, health-wise, but that's because I didn't learn how to actually address and work with this new change in my life, right? Mm-hmm. I've got this metal in my body. Well, how do I can still be active. I can still do all those things. I just need to get the help and the coaching to help on how to work through this. I didn't know that at 18. But again, I think about there's bad things that happen to us, and we have to recognize that there's always some sort of good that's going to come out of it. If you can change and build that muscle to think, there's always going to be something good out of this. Think about it.
Well, and from that, because hold that, because I think this is important where we can kind of tie this into business in a lot of ways, because I always say your personal demons become your business obstacles. And so like, as we're like realizing both, I think we're both, maybe you are too, as a listener or watcher, these are our diaries of some of our most vulnerable moments. But we know other people are out there that can learn from it.
Yeah.
But why do you feel like it's so important for you to ask for help in your journey right now in your life?
Ooh, good question. Because I have to learn that it's okay to get help. It's okay to be vulnerable. It's okay to look stupid and not have the answers. And I think about this as I relate it to this. I will relate it to kind of something like this, where I remember going, and my dad, when I was younger, we would go out to eat with friends or family, and my dad would pick up the check. And
My dad would always do that. Mm-hmm.
I just remember people would thank him and all of that, right? And I remember the first time that I was like, I want to be like my dad. I want to be able to do that. But I saw like how happy it made everybody else.
And people are like, oh, okay. And then like they look at him a certain way. Yeah, I remember those days.
But, in the beginning when I started doing that, because I'm known occasionally to do that, I changed my mindset around it because I thought, my dad, it made him feel so good. It wasn't about, it was just the fact that he could do that for somebody else and that good feeling that he would get. So where I go with this is that when I do it for somebody else and they're just like, no, you don't have to pay for this or pay for this. I think about it for myself where I'm like, no, I've worked so hard to be financially independent and not have to rely on others. I have to stop and say, wait a minute, this person is treating me to a meal. And that feeling that I get to be able to do that for somebody else, I'm taking that away from them. That is not fair. Why do I get to have that enjoyment and this person doesn't? I'm taking that away from them.
I mean, I'm sure they don't mind you paying for the meal.
I know, but in this case, I'm saying though, if they're paying for the meal for me, and I keep saying, no, I'll pay for my own, I'll pay for my own.
Right. Oh,
I'm taking that away from them.
Yeah, you're robbing them of their blessing.
I'm robbing them of that. It's the same concept here with my trainer this morning. We talked a week or two ago about, he goes, let's be real, Crystal. You say you're eating better, but are you really?
Ooh, that's a direct question.
No. He goes, yes, you make healthy decisions when you eat, but what does eating healthy look like, right? So now I'm leaning into this and I think about it in relation to what I do. The feeling I get when I help somebody be able to navigate through a difficult financial situation or their mindset around this. And when I can help them work through that, I feel so good about that. Why would I take that away from somebody else that's willing to step up and help me with that? Because that's where they have their expertise.
Yeah, maybe because you're trying to people please.
Recovering people pleaser?
Yeah, same. I mean, that's the part of being rejected. And I think that's the part of only because of YouTube, you get to hear people's stories. Podcasts, you hear people's stories. But before where would you hear someone's vulnerable story until like a Robin Williams committed suicide? But like someone who's we talking about Robin? What? He committed suicide?
Because you only see what is being, and you know that man was a people pleaser.
Oh, he was an absolute. Tony Robbins said like he got up. He said in one of his speeches, he's got up on the table at an expensive restaurant. He sung "Happy Birthday," did a whole skit, whole play, and he just made everyone's day feel special. And he's trying to say he made everyone else happy but himself. That's a people pleaser. And every time I get low, I'm like, it's because I'm trying to make someone else happy rather than make myself happy. And this is what I was saying earlier to you, and like I'm at my first time in my life, I'm at a place with my business I've never been, because you helped me see that it's not me. Like I can do marketing all day long, but that's not going to help me with long term. That's like eating the donut. I can get likes, I can get a sale, but that doesn't help me with managing my money. Mm-hmm. That's not going to help me be the provider I want to be for my family, my kids, for my, I mean, think of like, God bless him. My dad, he thought he had it good when he retired early. He hit his goals, but he retired with Enron stock. He was like a baller until he found out that was all a Ponzi scheme. So like, I can only imagine. Of course, he hasn't shared those. And why would he be from different generations? But part of like his sins, his generational curses passed down to me. And my mom was horrible with managing money. So it's not like that I don't know how to make money. It's not that I'm scared to make money. I'm not scared to work hard. I love the work. I love the grind, but I just don't have that knowledge. I wasn't blessed with that wisdom that comes.
Well, none of us are. Think about it. We're born with a clean slate. We don't, everything we know, we have learned. We didn't, it didn't come to us, right? We had to learn it in some capacity. I think going back to Robin Williams, you have someone here who, and I share this because I think we feel this too as recovering people pleasers. You know, he got some enjoyment out of making people smile and laugh. Absolutely. There's enjoyment he gets out of that. But at what point are we suffering through to do that when, yes, we get that maybe that instant gratification dopamine hit of that laugh or that smile, but at what cost? When we won't even do it for ourselves. Why will we not do it for ourselves?
I mean, only he can answer that for himself.
But we can take this wonderful person who had his own demons and say, and I just think about how many other people in our life have demons that they're fighting that nobody knows about and end up in that situation. And you're just think, okay, I need to show up for me because at some point I'm hoping that this helps somebody else.
It will.
Who will be in that position that says, and how do we do that? People need to see this vulnerability side of us and see the real side of us in this. And it's hard because yes, there'll be people out there who judge us for it, but who cares?
Well, like I said, I sent the email out last week just saying how I failed in making some business decisions now that got me in debt. And one of my clients said, hey, thanks for sharing because it looks like you live in a perfect life. You have all the answers. That made me feel good. That encouraged me to keep going and also find the answers because you think by a person's perfect life, you feel like you're at a disadvantage. But it's like, no, I'm not.
But we all are going through something or get through something or work through stuff that ultimately at some point could help someone else.
Absolutely.
And we don't even know it. I think about one of my clients, a shared client of ours, and some of the confidence struggles that she has. And it's because she just needs somebody in her corner to help her work through this stuff. And I've been through it. Some of what she's struggling with, I've been there. And I'm like, yeah, I know what that feels like.
Me too.
Here's what I did to get out of this. I can't guarantee this will work for you, but here's some resources and tools that helped me. But it's what you, client, do with this. I can't force you to do the work. You have to do it. I'm here to help you. I'm here to meet you where you're at, but also understand that ultimately I can't do the work for you. There are times where I'm like, I just want to step in and do it for him, right? It's like as a parent, you're like,
right.
You know, it's what is the thing I struggle with that I'm working through? Delegation. Well, you dig into that and you say, well, why do I struggle with delegation? As I've been working through this, I step back and I say, this is a result of back when I was my childhood. I had a parent who I couldn't rely on that would promise the world, and sometimes they would meet that, they would do what they said they would do, but more times than not, they didn't. I couldn't trust my own parent to do what they say they were going to do, right? I have built a business around, well, I'm going to hire a team. They're going to do this job, and I'm going to train them. But what would I do? What have I been doing? Well, at the end of the day, if they can't do it, I'm just going to have to step in and do it myself.
Not allowing them to do the work. That's what you've been doing.
But I've worked through that, it's like, it's okay for them to make mistakes. It's how do I help them when they make the mistakes or when that happens, right? But again, it's, why is my answer always going to be, well, I can always step in and take over? That's not the answer, and it shouldn't be the answer if I want to continue to scale this business. If I want to be a true business owner, not a self-employed person, I have to change how I approach this. There are so many opportunities I'm missing out on. Maybe this person isn't meant for this position, but there's billions of people out there. There's got to be one person who can figure it out. We're not like, it's not rocket science what we're doing. So if that's the case, what is it that I'm having to unpack? That's not, yes, it's easy to say, well, just go hire another person or just train them to do it differently. Well, what if that team member themselves are dealing with confidence issues, or they're dealing with maybe how they learn, or how they absorb and learn is different than my process, right? But I have a lot of experience learning how to learn. Maybe this person doesn't, or they just haven't had enough experience to know what to do next. We just assume, like, I'm just, right?
I know all about that.
Good times.
It is. Here, so we're gonna cut off the recording, but this has been good because just to wrap up, I think it's important. I think if we were to put this on the podcast, we could do this in the podcast. We didn't mention any names. This is all about asking for help, and I feel it's asking for help. It's about at least when I rewatch it for myself, because whenever I post a video, I watch the whole thing, and sometimes I rewatch it. I'm like, I didn't catch that the first time I watched it, and I rewatch it again. I'm like, especially when I had it on YouTube, I'm like, oh wow, I didn't. Where was I? I was right there in the room, and I still didn't hear that. And it's because, and not only is this asking for help, I know that you talk like me, why, and I know I talked about my mom. I talked about being in a relationship, being vulnerable, being that kid that felt like this has been healing. So I just want to say thank you for allowing me to get this out, because it's not just personal. This is, it's personal, it's business, it's life. Yeah.
The diary of a CFO and a CMO.